Quite a dankish morning. I think that's an official term. We did have the potential of some mist and fog in the area, and it certainly has got a little bit, but not a huge amount. But I thought I'd go for a little dander anyway. And I quite like sort of conditions like this, where again, because the light's not going to be anything great by the looks of things, I mean we're now a good 20 minutes after sunrise, it just affords you that precious commodity called time, and just allows me to just wander through the woodland, just kind of being part of it without sounding again too hippie-ish. And I was wandering through, obviously we're kind of way past the peak of autumn, so most of the trees have now shed their leaves. But in conditions like this, and at this time of year, as you're walking through the woodland, you're going to pick up little flashes of colour. And that's certainly what happened this morning. Just was seeing some lovely flashes of yellow as I was walking along the riverbank. So I've kind of stopped here, and it's this little sort of path that leads down, and this lovely sort of intersecting, I love sort of crossovers of the yellows and the trunks of the trees, and a few of them maybe shed more of the leaves, and then right at the very end there's another little sort of sapling tree with lovely sort of rustic oranges on it. It may look nice here while I'm standing, but I've been kind of standing where I am right now with the lens cap off, with the 18-135, just seeing whether I can compose something here, and not too sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dander the length of the path rather than zooming in with the focal length, which of course we can all become quite lazy. I'm just going to start wandering down and see whether walking into the scene presents a more pleasing composition. So I've taken a dander up and down. Can't really get it to work. As I say, it's a nice scene to look at, but I think there's a couple of complications. One, and again, one of the big problems with shooting in woodland and situations like this where we have a really bright washed out sky, is trying not to include it. And I think from a composition point of view, I think portrait orientation works. But you're really just including too much of the sky. Now, using a portrait orientation but in a potential maybe 3 or 4 shot panoramic may yield something. And then the other problem is if I then switch to a horizontal composition, it's a little bit unbalanced. I kind of think that end little sapling needs to be in the centre of the frame, which when you're horizontal you can't unless you maybe go into a square format. And there's some nice sort of curvy trees and things, but then there's others that really don't add anything to the story. So nice to look at, but I'm not too sure it's going to work as an image. Now, maybe if we had a little bit more mist and a little bit of light coming in, especially on that end sapling, you could kind of work something there, but hey ho. But it's always good to, on days like this here where the conditions are very stable and nothing too dramatic, you can really spend time sort of wandering with the camera and trying to see what works and what doesn't. And actually, for me, the not works side of it can actually be just as beneficial as what does work. We shall wander on. So we've still just been slowly dandering around the woodland. The light this morning is just very bland, and even any of that mist that we did have is now lifted just a touch, but that's okay. This is a little woodland that has foxed me for a good number of years. I don't think I've ever got a pleasing image from it. I got a couple of okay ones, but I'm determined this winter, given our lockdown status, given our restriction status, I'm determined to come back here a number of times and see whether I can find something. It's quite a scruffy woodland, but that's what I like about it. And it's one of those places that I doubt any other photographers would consider even for a moment. Although maybe they're the ones with good sense, but no. I love a place like this because it, you know, you're just continually coming back to it and you're trying to sort of open your eyes to the location. Playing about even a little bit with the old iPhone. Not a huge wide angle fan on the normal cameras, but my goodness, the wide angle on the iPhone 12 Pro Maximus, whatever it's called, is a lot of fun in the right situation. But we'll carry on dandering on and see whether we can start to put together something that, if not this morning, which is very doubtful, later we can make something of. So I've actually made my way around the woods and I'm back to the little scene that I first explored, and I've decided to set the tripod up and try for an image. Now I'm quite close to it and I've got the camera in a 16:9 aspect ratio and just kind of putting the tree almost centre. And kind of what really sort of appealed to me is there's just a little sort of clump of sort of fallen debris and fallen trees, fallen bits of bark and just lying in the corner, and then there's a little bit of sort of speckled yellow colour, and there's just there's a little bit of drizzle in the air now, so there's just a slight little bit of diffusion going through the image. I've been quite sort of purposeful on the left hand side of the image as well to... Warning! Not quite sure whether, you know, someone's run towards you with a mask on, whether they're going to crack you over the head. You could have told me he was coming. Did you see him coming? I guess I look weirder. Making some Blair Witch project. It's quite particular to leave the three very straight pines, I guess, on the left hand side. That rain now seems to be getting a little bit heavier, which might give us a little bit more diffusion. So it's okay. I mean, it's really just an exercise in composition, I guess, that might, when I go back to the office, fall flat in its face. But yep, we have a little bit of rain now, so that might be to our advantage, or it might not. So I'm just focusing on the tree, f6.4. That's really all I want sharp in the image. That tree. 2-second timer. And that's all she wrote. Not bad. Right. We'll wander on. So with the conditions continuing to darken down, I'm pretty sure I'm shooting this on ISO 55 billion or something. I think that's going to be it for this morning. Quite a dank, almost sinister feel to the wood this morning, and you know, there are a couple of dog walkers now kicking around, but you get into the silence and you hear a big crow kind of cackle. It really does add to that sort of unnerving feel. But yeah, I reckon I'm going to spend a bit of time in these woods over these next several weeks. As we start to lose, there are some more little lovely pockets of colour that I kind of came across as well. If we could get maybe just a little bit of light, but this is what I enjoy, and this is how my photography has changed quite considerably over the last 18 months. I'm quite happy with this slow pace, playing the long game. And mornings like this morning where there's not an image to be had, but there's plenty of just the whole creative thought process going on. So, right, well, I'm going to wander back to the car. If I come across any other images that maybe I'll shoot with the iPhone, I'll put them up. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye bye.